You know?
What did she say?
She said there's another picture of us. I mean, how many of our parents have really screwed that up? Well, yeah.
Do you think there's also a picture, though, in that same sense, of that it's really kind of just a remnant that really does actual carrying? They didn't have 500 guys on each pole. They only had us. There was actually only a small portion at any given time that was actually carrying anything.
Okay.
You know, there's not. You don't have hundreds of guys carrying the ark.
Well, we know that the service, those that were numbered by their families, were 2,750. There's a lot of people that carry those instruments.
But not at any one given time. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. There's always that sense of there's like, it doesn't need to be. There's always this remnant that really keeps it alive, carries it, has
Okay.
the real shoulders the responsibility for making it go on.
Okay.
You know.
What do you say? I think it's there's 7 pieces of furniture with 4 people.
Mhm.
Right.
People on each. So that would be like 20 for each.
Right.
And they'll swap out. Maybe they carry it for 2 miles and then they swap it out or whatever. You know, I mean.
Have you ever carried anything for 2
No.
miles? You don't want to carry 2
Myself,
miles.
I can't. I don't like to carry it for 2 miles.
That's a good point, but they just.
Oh, they almost have to. I mean, yeah.
One of the things too, I mean, we've been talking about God nights, and God was actually opposed to people's bitterness, and He gave them a commandment and said, "Do not cut them off.
Right.
Do not let them be cut off." You know, and so ultimately, in spite of the error that they made, you know, He was incredibly merciful and willing to let them continue in the service of Him under these conditions.
Why? He had already laid this out beforehand. That's why. That's why. Okay, hold on. The reason that they weren't to be cut off was because of why.
Well, they were one of the 12 tribes.
Okay.
Got to keep that intact.
His grace. Okay. Back to generational curses, right?
That's a picture.
Can the children be killed for the father's sin? No.
No, not the children.
Children cannot be killed for the father's sin.
Can it go the other way around?
Nope.
No.
And the father cannot be killed for the children's sin.
Right, right.
So they were still descendants of Levi. They still had a portion. He'd already laid this out. It can't be nullified. So, I mean, you're right. He was actually stepping in and going, hey, remember? I've already written this down. You already know this. They're going to have a part. So, all right, let's move on. The big three. The big three that have to be out of the camp. What?
Back to the generational.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, ma'am.
Even though we're not held responsible,
All right.
they can be handed down.
Oh, absolutely. They are handed down. But there again,
Each generation chooses different.
They share in the burden.
right.
That's what it says.
Now, let's also look at what actually happened, though, to all of Korah's family. Who did it say was swallowed up with him?
Those that followed him.
All his children and his wife and his
His wife.
cattle and
The
his
immediate
sheep.
family.
His entire immediate family. Entire immediate family. Does that break God's command? Because they sinned? It's a question for y'all to answer. So,
What
just keep
about
it.
where it said the sin of the father visited on the third and fourth generation?
They're visited on the third and fourth generation. That doesn't mean that they're killed for their father's sin.
Right.
But right here is the example. What happens to Korah's entire family?
Well, we know that God is just, so they must have gone wrong.
Okay.
But there were no children.
This is open-ended. This is open-ended. I want y'all to think about that because here's where we're talking about. Because if it says in Torah that the sins of the father cannot condemn to death the children, then it does. It says that in, where does it say that? I know it does say it. I'll look that up for you, Joey, but I know it does actually say that. And it goes both ways. It actually says that the sins of the father cannot You can, the children shall not be killed for the sins of the father, and the father shall not be killed for the sins of the children. Okay, it says both. I don't exactly know where that is.
Isn't there some place where Korah's children wrote some of the songs?
Yes.
At least 10.
There's a legend about that.
Uh-oh. All right, we're not getting into legends. Hold on. Here's the reason why. I wanted that to be an open-ended question, though, because that's what I'm doing today. I want y'all to think about it, because we just talked about how the sins of the father cannot be passed on to the sins of the kid for death. Okay? Yet, we know that when Korah was swallowed up by the earth, his entire family was with him. Now, it says that in 16 or 17.
Could it be another Korah?
He could have been another Korah. Okay,
Recycle the name.
so let's go on. The big three. The big three out.
Lepers.
Lepers.
Everyone having a discharge
Discharges.
and unclean because of a dead person.
Unclean by death. Where'd they have to go?
Outside the camp.
Outside the camp. How far outside the camp? It does not say.
63 feet. No.
That is not a specific number. Just outside the camp. Why?
Because they're unclean.
So they won't defile their camp.
Mr. Jim.
Your answer is Deuteronomy 24:16. Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children be put to death for their fathers, each to die for his own sin.
24:16.
And I think that's why it says
Thank you, Jim.
they were visited upon the, it's like, okay, yeah, they visited, but that didn't mean they let them in.
Hey, we moved on.
Okay, let's go.
Well, Jim just got it right.
But he gave the answer. That's what I needed. Deuteronomy 24:16. All right. Now, the big three out of the camp. Why?
So they don't defile their camp.
Right. Why?
The camp's holy. I don't-
Absolutely, because the camp is holy.
And God walks among them.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, good. Y'all on the same page I am. All right. Now, the big three. These big three. Lepers.
Evil speech.
All right. That's why they're lepers, right?
Now, and we get there, what, from Miriam?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Issues of blood.
That's what life is?
That's where death is. Because the seeds that did not receive a sperm dies.
Okay, but it says everyone that has an issue of blood. It's not just the women. Discharge, period.
Right?
Well, a discharge is a male sperm, isn't it?
It says discharge. It doesn't say, wet dream. It just says discharge. Yeah, and oozing. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can include. All right. Do what?
Oh, no, it
Yeah. And then defiled by the dead. Whosoever is defiled by the dead.
Death is a picture of those who refuse the Father.
Okay. Were there people in the camp that it was their job to take the dead outside of the camp? Yes, absolutely it was, especially when they were in the wilderness. They had to move a lot of dead bodies out. Okay? Okay.
But it was not a sin, but it was an uncleanness.
Right.
Right. Good point there. Good point there. Well, because there again, is an issue of blood for a woman a sin?
Of course not.
No. That's the way God made it. Okay.
That's the cleanses.
But yeah, okay, good. All right, well, we're going to kind of move on from that, but there's the big three that you have to be moved outside of the camp. Now, once again, we hit on why you had to be moved outside of the camp. Because the camp's holy, right?
Right.
Why would you yourself, if you had, your dad dies, you go and see him, you touch the body, you're grieving. What happened? You're unclean. So what happened
Till sundown, isn't it?
until sundown? So you have to go where until sundown? Outside the camp. I'm making that kind of fun because you think there was a waiting area right outside the camp, set like a little hitch or something, water fountain.
Well, maybe they had to.
I'm just saying that there was something that they all had to go outside the camp.
There had to be something outside the camp.
Right.
You know, whether it's cleaning up ashes or.
Well, we know that at one point there was a leper village outside the camp. Okay? Yes, sir.
During meditation. How many hospitals and funeral homes were inside?
Right. Right. There were no mortuaries inside the camp. There were no hospitals probably inside the camp. You're absolutely right. I mean, there could have been.
They treated them humanely outside the camp.
Absolutely. Absolutely they did. I mean, you know, doctors, for instance, there were healers. What happened every time they went and saw somebody that was sick? Huh?
That doctors back then?
Well, they had to. People had broken legs.
Well, they had midwives. And every time that she delivers a baby, guess what? She's unclean until evening. That's how the case works, man. So, all right, let's move on. Now, the spirit of jealousy. It's kind of fitting that we're talking about spirits and the fact that it is Shavuot tomorrow. Whatever. Whose spirit? Whose spirit? Who gave the husband the spirit of jealousy?
God.
Probably not.
Okay, I'm not going to touch this one too much. I just want it's an open-ended question because was God a jealous God?
Yes.
Absolutely. He definitely was a jealous God.
He is.
And if your wife is very cunning, she doesn't let anybody know, there's no witnesses to the fact, is God just going to let you be oblivious to it? And so what does he do? Well, it lays it out here that there's a spirit of jealousy that man receives. And then in this spirit of jealousy, she's either been defiled or she has not, right? Okay. Now, there were actually those cases where there were witnesses and all that and all that kind of thing. That's completely different. This is actually something that I've actually saw some different things on this week. And there's some different thoughts on it. But this spirit of jealousy, what happened if the wife was not defiled?
She drank the water and that was it?
Drank the water, nothing happened.
Right. And she was blessed with children.
She was blessed with children. Whose children do you think she had?
Well, we hope it's.
Her husband's.
I hope so.
So what do you think that did to their relationship? Did it hurt their relationship that he was jealous and decided to do that to her? Or do you think it strengthened it? Yes, sir.
Why was this not turned around the other way?
No, I mean, it's a legitimate question, but.
He doesn't carry the children.
No, what I'm talking about is why does the wife not have a spirit of jealousy against the husband? That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm. And why didn't they drink the water?
Perhaps because it was enough for the woman. If she was guilty, the baby would have died. Or, whatever it says in her abdomen. Or
Just kind of wondering why it wasn't put in there.
It's one of those open-ended questions we're trying to ask.
I think it's because it's a picture of the bride.
Okay, absolutely, it's a picture of bride.
And it's what Moses had done basically, with the golden calf.
All these are for us, right?
Right.
Well, right, absolutely. But here's my point, though, is that what do we do every time we seek after something besides God? We defile ourselves. goodness, I haven't been brought before the priest and had to drink anything yet. All right.
There's also just kind of a commentary on this chapter. It says that if a husband brought his wife before the priest and made these accusations against her, but the accusations were false, the husband actually suffered a great amount of punishment because he embarrassed his wife. Because he brought her before the going and embarrassed her and made her ashamed.
Sure.
And he carried a lot of, and because of that, he carried a lot of guilt and iniquity because he essentially embarrassed his wife. And that's something that should never be done.
Right. There again, we also know that they still had children because God blessed them with children. So it's going to strengthen their relationship. But at the same time, anybody in here said anything to your spouse you didn't want to after you said it? So this actually brings up the good point, though, that what do we have to do every time we have something come into us? We have to evaluate it very carefully before we open our mouth. Okay?
It's an embarrassment to the guy, too, that she turned out to be, that he was the one that was in the wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
And the other thing is, remember when Moses come down from the mountain? They did the same thing to all the people. They drank that water with the gold in it.
Sure.
And I figure that their stomachs swelled that were guilty.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why we know that how many of them died that day.
3,000.
That's a lot. You know, at one time, one sitting. Yes, sir.
We were reading a book in one of my classes this semester over the vices, and jealousy is one of those. She was specifically talking about envy and how closely related they are. But jealousy she defined as the fear of losing something you already have.
Okay. Let me point this out though. God's jealousy is righteous. Okay. Why is His jealousy righteous?
Because we are His.
It's because His longing isn't for His own gain. It is, but it's not. You know, it's more for us. Because does He need you?
No.
I'm just making the point.
He's jealous of us because he knows what will happen.
Right. Right. All right. We're moving on. Now, this is going to be one of those, I'm throwing it out there because it is controversial and it's something that hit me for the first time yesterday, actually. And if we go to chapter 5, verse 18. This is in the whole spirit of jealousy, suspicion of adultery. Okay. And the priest shall let's go to 17. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. This is the interesting part. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head, and put of the offering memorial in her hand. Oh. Covered or not covered? That is the question. I'm leaving this open. I'm definitely leaving this open, not touching it with the 10-foot pole, because every man in here has that responsibility to discuss that with his wife. But I am making a statement that I've heard this argument in this room before. Well, it's nowhere in Torah does it say that a woman's head is covered. That's pretty plain. I'm making the statement to look at. Because it's something that is just, everybody has their opinion about it. Everybody's got a different opinion about it. There's not a place in Torah that actually says a woman shall have her head covered. But it does say right here that Any married woman that is brought before the priest and set before the Lord shall have her covering removed from her head. So I'm making that statement, Sylvia, I'm making the statement, and
Okay,
I'm
no, I
leaving
wanna
it
share-
open.
I want to share something.
I'm leaving it open.
Because I have been with people that still believe this way. They need to be in the church. Women need to be separated from the men and covered, as Paul said in the New Testament.
Here's my point. I'm leaving this open because it's for every man to discuss with his wife, and that's how that should be handled. I'm making the statement, though, that when it's something that we don't understand, we have to first go to who?
The Father.
Go to God. All right? Randy Kay and I have had this discussion. I think she feels pretty comfortable with how I feel about it, because she actually came to me and said, how do you want me to behave in this manner? Which I was blessed for. Okay? And then I had to go, oh crap, I don't know. Because I didn't. I didn't know how I felt about it. And so I actually had to do some study on it. And she had done a lot of research on it. But the thing is, you can get it from a lot of different sources in a lot of different ways. And some people believe it's a woman's hair. Some people believe that it's an actual covering. Some people believe that you can't see a woman's hair at all. Some people believe it's from the child they're a child. Some people believe it's only those that are married. I'm making all this a point to say this is something everyone needs to actually look at. Okay? Hold on. When I read in Torah that any woman, because is it telling us that this is Samuel's wife that was brought before the priest? No. It says that any man who has had this happen to him, the spirit of jealousy has come upon him, goes and takes his wife in front of the priest, shall set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head. I'm making the statement because it's written right here.
Maybe that means shave her hair off.
Here's the only thing I have to say about that part of it, is that if it actually was shaving of the head, we know that the only time that was actually used was to point out someone's iniquity as a prostitute.
Or when a woman was captured.
Right, to mourn,
Captured.
when she was captured and
Right,
brought
right,
in.
in war.
Yeah.
Did they use that same wording there? I'm just curious. I hadn't really paid attention to that particular.
No, it's actual covering.
Okay.
It says covering.
Okay.
There again, could that mean, that's what I'm saying. That's why this is an open-ended question. I don't have a definitive answer for anyone in this room.
Well, it's specifically talking about a wife.
I'm making the point that we need to actually look at what we pass over.
If any man's wife.
Because we all pass over this, Mel, every time. The last 5 years, I've passed over that. The last 4, we've been looking at head coverings. This is the first time I've ever seen head covered in Torah. Okay? That's why I'm making the point. We need to look at more of this. Huh?
Husband is our covering if we're married. And it says-
Law of the Nazarite. Were they not married?
Yes, but the husband is their covering.
So he was removed from her head in front of the Lord.
No, but that, they are.
I'm making a point.
I don't mean to stir up any more on it.
Sure.
I'm just gonna say, if I'm covering for my wife, and I bring her before the priest, and I say, here she is, I have this spirit of jealousy, I don't know. I'm responsible for my wife and the teaching of my wife.
Right.
I am her spiritual covering. That means between she and the Father, not saying, I'm just saying that, I'm that protection over her, for all things. That's why a woman on a contract, the man has the right to break that contract,
Right, in an oath. Right.
because I am protecting her. So then the priest is going to remove me temporarily from her. She is before the Father by herself. And she's going to be responsible for her actions, because it says later on in the spirit of jealousy, it says about the father, or about the man and the adultery. Later on, it says the man is going to be innocent if she's guilty.
Right.
And she has to take that burden her whole self. So, just a thought, and let's go on.
Okay. My point to that though, does the Hebrew tell us it's literal, removing and recovering, or just a putting off?
There's all kinds of signs to that.
Right.
So, and
That's my point.
physical, and there could be a physical sign.
Right.
So let's don't argue with that. Let's just go on.
That's my point.
And let each one of us make that decision.
That's my point. Is that not one of us has that as a definitive? Why? Because we don't. I'm making the point though. I've never seen it in Torah before, and now I saw it. So
Maybe it's
now I
both.
do what?
Maybe it's both.
I'm making the point. Everybody's gonna make their own decision. But when we pass over these things, and then we say, well, it's not in the Torah. No, it is in the Torah. Okay? Law of the Nazarite. John the Baptist, his parents. How do I make that leap? Yes, sir. Samson. Okay? Samson and Delilah. Okay. Samson was a good Nazarite, right?
How about Yeshua?
Yeshua was a good Nazarite. Who else was a good Nazarite? Okay, he wasn't a Nazarite. He was a Nazarene. There you go.
Christ was not a Nazarite. He was a Nazarene.
Okay, great.
Just,
Hush, Jim.
No, Nazarite can't drink wine.
right?
He partook of it.
Until he's fulfilled his
No,
vow.
he drank it too.
No, wait, until he's fulfilled his vow. And then he breaks his vow and drinks wine.
It wasn't first.
Wasn't Saul?
I think I was talking about John the Baptist, so y'all quit.
John was.
Yeah, I know.
Would you ask? Who asked?
So where are you taking this, Ty?
Where I was trying to take it to the fact that Law of the Nazarite, when we go over the Law of the Nazarite right here, it actually said something, again, that I'd never caught before. When either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of Nazarite. That's the first verse, second verse. Very second verse. So either a man or a woman can be a Nazarite.
Cool.
I thought that was real cool.
Did she shave her head too?
I don't know. It doesn't actually say. But it does say that when a vow is complete, that they go to the temple and their head is shaved.
Right.
There again, laying a lot of shaving down here today. All right. Now, when we look at John the Baptist, do we know if his parents were or not?
His dad was a priest.
He was a priest,
They were both priests.
and
His
they
mother-
were related.
his
I
wife?
think the two sisters, the two wives were related.
Yeah, it was a cousin. Elizabeth was Mary's cousin.
Do we know if John the Baptist's parents were Nazarites?
She had to been while she was married.
No. We don't know. But we do know that John the Baptist was a Nazarite from where? His mother's womb. So, being that we're gonna play a little liberal game with that and say that if he is from his mother's womb, that means she's not partaking of what? Wine or grape
Grapes.
or anything of the vine.
Not allowed to smoke cigarettes either.
Mm,
Wow. Okay, Fred.
That's a little bit.
Okay, that's just.
I'm not jumping that liberal. I'm just making a statement.
Well, that doesn't mean she was before, because the angel told her what not to drink while she was when she was carrying the baby.
Mhm. But there again,
yeah, right. She did.
when we make that statement that John the Baptist is going to be a Nazarite from his mother's womb, does he have any control over what goes in his mother? No, right? Does he have any input into actually the fact that it's a vow? No. A baby can't make that decision. So his parents had to make that for him, right?